whenever we bought the property, it was a year or two later, somebody wanted to buy 3 acres in the back to build a house up there. Mm-hmm. Because it would be a really nice sunset and it's flat up there, but they'd have to build another road to it.
Yeah.
So I like that. I want to use that for something up there, but I don't know. The tractor, I would have got a skid loader, but the tractor will work.
Yeah. Clearing
out areas.
Tractors are expensive. Moving. It's stupid how expensive tractors are. My grandma has a farm, and I mean, like, there's obviously different types of equipment, but like, geez Louise, it's crazy.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Well, he's retired and
he's just looking for things. He likes toys right now.
And I wasn't.
That's good.
I basically said, if you're gonna buy one, don't wait till you're 90. He's 75, 76. So
do it now.
I mean, if you're gonna get one, you can always trade it in and get something else if you want.
There you go.
But it's pretty big.
Yeah.
Maybe well, watch. You guys just watch and see. You'll be thanking that he got it in a couple of years when we increased the value by how many millions of dollars by changing
just because
the land.
of the tractor.
I ain't hating on him for sure.
Well, Ashley Dailey, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, good to see you again.
Yes.
So, how's life been since we saw you last?
Good. Just same old same.
I mean,
I don't know.
Well, Ashley's life is well publicized. So, and what I mean by that is, and I wanted to ask you about it. It was one of my topics. You're one of those courageous people who put themselves out there every day and just say, "Look at me, world," and you don't care. You're telling them what you're doing and how you're doing it, and what motivates you to do that, or what kind of satisfaction do you get out of that? What kind of response? You open yourself up to a lot of things, whether it's criticism, whether it's Googling, whether, people are going to be like, oh, let's look at Ashley, or what the hell are you doing? It could go all, the whole spectrum, right?
Yeah, you get a bunch of different opinions, I guess, but who cares really? No, I like to do it just because I think it's a good way to put myself out there to, one, garner business. But really, I put my real estate stuff out there on social media, but not a whole lot. A lot of times it's just me sitting in my car on Instagram stories bullshitting. Am I allowed to cuss on here?
Too late now.
Okay.
Yes.
Hell no. We don't edit.
BSing
So
around.
I guess so. There's no editing. So, you bring up a good point.
Thank you.
So when you do that, can we talk about that for a minute? Because, that's a topic that is on a lot of people's minds. Like, oh, I could do that, or I should get online and do that. But, of course, you open yourself up to a lot of criticism. And, but at the exact same time, it seems like people are drawn to genuine people. Right. So people they're not afraid to see flaws or mishaps. It's a sign of relatability. People can relate to that and they love that. And there are always going to be haters here and there, whatever. It is what it is. But have you always been like that? Have you always been able to just all right, I'm going to go just, because there's a lot of people that are fine with that. It just depends on your personality. I think if it takes away from your energy.
Oh yeah. Then you don't want to do it.
You don't want to do it.
You put your energy towards something else. Yeah. No, I agree. I've always kind of liked attention. So it's very easy.
Well done.
Again, probably, a lot of people can relate. Like, okay, it's because some people don't.
Right. No, and that's why
interesting. Yeah, that's true.
I have some friends that are like, why do you how do you do that? Why do you, and I just literally, it's just me getting on my car and BS in my car usually, because that's when I have quiet time, and just BS.
So you must fill it.
Right. I must fill it. Like, it's too much. It's so quiet. But really it's just checking in, and I think authenticity and relatability is a big factor. That's what I look for in people that I follow on social media. But again, tying it back into work-wise, I want people who find me via social media or online to want to work with me. And a lot of that is reflected in my personality. And I might not be everybody's cup of tea. And at the end of the day, that's okay. That's kind of how I treat it. But yeah, I'd say usually it's about 20, it's the 80-20 rule, where it's about 20% work related type of stuff on my social media, and then 80% just me being me.
So is it, in your case, is it planned, like I'm going to do this amount of videos this week, or is it like, oh, I just thought of this. Oh, I bet other people would like to know this, and then you start recording?
It's more off the cuff. I wish I was more planned and consistent with it. I probably could grow and do more with that. Consistency is always a fun thing. I'm really great at consistency on stories. It's the feed posts and different things like that. But it's usually off the cuff because it's as I think of it. I don't like things, again, to kind of tie back into that authenticity. I don't like things to feel very, not structured. What's the word I'm looking for?
Planned.
Forced. I want it to be more organic. And so a lot of times that just comes with not planning things and just kind of shooting off the cuff.
And how do you do, since I don't have that, inspiration, like how
2025 goals right there for you.
It should be. When you, so what we're kind of talking about is Ashley has a, well, you said it's not a habit, but she has a regular practice of just posting a video of herself talking about something or doing something. And it, you know, like she said, it's often when she's alone and she's just giving information about something in her daily life, perhaps something about real estate. But when you do that, are you just, it's unedited, you're just kind of doing it a 90-second video and then it's on, you know, then it's published?
Yeah, usually, especially if it's on my Instagram or Facebook stories, I don't watch them back before I post them, because if I do, I'll judge it and then I won't post. So I just say what I have to say, post it out there, and then I'll watch it back. And my rule is I never delete. So if it's out there, it's out there.
That's great. That's courageous, for sure.
I mean, I know when I'm talking, like sometimes if I like mess up or whatever, I'm like cussing too much or something, I'll stop it and then go. But I never watch it before I actually hit post, because then, you know.
Yeah, so that's awesome. You're like, no matter what, today I'm definitely going to say, no matter what, hey, I don't even watch them. Yeah. I just send them out.
Yeah, you put them out, and then you can watch them, but then you just can't delete them after they post
though.
it. Yeah.
I mean, I could see where, I mean, do you get any negative feedback online?
Not a whole lot. I mean, I've had people that have said, like, you know, why are you pretending like you're an influencer? Like, who are like, and I'm like, okay, well, you're watching my stuff, so clearly you care.
Thank you.
I mean, and that's the thing. And usually I don't get a whole lot of negative, like very rarely. And if you do, it's usually someone where you're like, okay, I don't really value your opinion, so thank you. But yeah, putting yourself out there, you're always going to, and even if they don't comment it or like say it to your face, you can hear through the grapevine, but it's like, okay, that's fine.
Well, yeah, I know. Like it's interesting, but you do want to make sure, I don't know. It's funny. Remember we were doing that soccer tournament? Mm-hmm. I specifically remember.
I remember when we thought we were doing that soccer tournament.
Right. Well, I mean, I said, you know, it's still right there. It's still something that is intriguing. And usually it takes a couple of steps. You start it once, you want to get some feelers out there, figure some things out. And then eventually the timing becomes right where you do run something like that out. But, you know, it was to the point where it was like, all right, I'm trying to think. If I roll this out on certain networks, there's, you know, it's very, you got to make sure you follow through.
Yeah.
You know, in your mind. So it's like, all right, am I going to time this out? Let's make sure we're, you know, 70%, you know, and then on a project. But then a guy came up to me one time and finally I was like, okay, let's send those out.
Yeah.
And a guy came up to me, we had an outing. We were watching the World Cup at, what's the place over in Illinois? Alton.
Fast Eddie's.
Yeah, we were at Fast Eddie's.
Never heard of it.
Outside.
I've only been there once.
And
you were there for 3 days though.
no, this is probably my second time actually, but we would put our boat in there a lot when we had that back in the day, right around
Lonnie.
there. Yeah. Only male boat.
Who names a boat after a boy?
It's odd.
But you don't know why when you see him. No, but it was a great boat. So, but basically the guy comes up to me and he goes, oh, so I see you went out, you're, what did he say? He said like, you're going, you know, putting your head out there or putting your neck out there or something like, and I was like, oh, I didn't really even look at it like that, but you know, but I remember him saying that.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I guess. Yeah, kind of. But you know, if you want, like, it's still a job. It's still a lot of work. Like, it's like anything else. You got to do it.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. I mean, and I see different like memes and videos going around, which I kind of think is funny. And it's like people who have gotten into real estate, whether it's on the loans, the mortgage side loans, or real estate agents, or any kind of like entrepreneurial based job. It's like, oh, we didn't realize we were also becoming full-time content creators, which is almost a requirement in today's world in some capacity. Which I think is kind of funny because I do like that aspect of it. And the other day I was working on kind of my 2025 business plan and going through the parts of my business that I like, the parts that I don't, and different things. And I realized I really do like the social media aspect of it. Anything like with being on camera, like just different type of stuff like that. So then that's where I look at, as far as lead generation and different things like that, leaning into that more because I get more enjoyment out of it rather than like door knocking or open houses.
Yeah, do something you're good at and that you enjoy, of course. And social media is like, it's impossible to escape, you know, and you might as well embrace it, which you didn't, I don't think you struggled with that, you know, distinction. But I tell my kids that they have a great, what they might not perceive as a skill, a great skill for the future in business because they can create content and publish it quickly like you do. It takes you don't have to, if you wait on perfection, cooperation, and acceptance, you're never going to get anything done.
No, because you can edit yourself out of posting right away. And then also, I mean,
my kids get a picture taken, they're like, that's terrible.
Yeah, exactly. But also then it's also the trends on like social media as far as like TikTok videos, Instagram Reels, all that stuff. It just happens so quickly. And so if it's like, okay, I'm going to save that and I'm going to do that on, sorry, get closer to the mic. I'm going to save that and I'm going to do it on Thursday. Well, that trend's coming on and it's not popular anymore. So it's like, oh shoot. So missed the boat.
That's interesting. So how do you get that information? Like
the algorithm.
Okay.
You got to know insights and just different, looking at your metrics and different things like that, which you can do on any of the sites, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. I don't have a YouTube. I would like, that is one thing I'm focusing on for 2025 is doing longer format videos because I'm a talker. Crazy. Who would have thought?
Interesting.
And so YouTube is more for that base rather than keeping it down to like 30-second, 1-minute videos, especially with the idea of TikTok probably going away come next month. So I think you're going to see more people who do content creation and entrepreneurs going, you know, different ways. Well,
and then in your case, then you have the real estate side and, the real estate side, you know, if you can have a combination of enjoying and appreciating both of those positions, then being a real estate agent is an awesome job. Yeah. I mean, how are you seeing the real estate side of things? And, you know, just if you wanted to touch on a couple things, like some things changed with the contracts. Did that change anything on your end? How are sellers looking at it now? There's been a little bit of time to digest it. What are you seeing any differences between the sellers and the buyers and their mindset and what they can buy and what they can't?
Yeah, I think in August when the changes first took place, I mean, obviously industry wise, there was a lot of talk and people didn't know what exactly to expect. Ultimately, I mean, I haven't seen a huge change as far as buyers and sellers go on my end. I really have always been upfront with my clients and communicative from the beginning as far as, okay, here's the contract, here's what you're signing, whether that's a buyer's agency or a listing agreement. And so I always, you know, was educating upfront. I think the biggest thing is just as a buyer's agent, warning your clients like, hey, there is a chance that the sellers may not be offering, you know, full compensation based off what I have on this agreement. If that happens, we can cross that bridge when we get there. And, you know, there's a chance you might be having to pay it at closing. And again, that's just being educating up front and also telling them before we even go look at the house, as long as the listing agent's willing to share, like, hey, this is going to only cover this amount or whatever it might be. Again, transparency and communication is the biggest thing. As far as sellers go, I mean, I haven't seen a lot that aren't willing to still compensate buyer's agents, primarily because it's worth it, in my opinion, and most sellers see that too. If you're not compensating and then the buyer has to bring the compensation for their buyer's agent, that's more money out of their pocket. That's less that they can spend on the house itself. So I think it's just, again, talking through it and just making sure all clients know, you know, what what's required of them and what's not. So.
Yeah, and I'm sure there are plenty of repeat buyers, but there are a lot of new buyers too. So a lot of people don't know any different, so and the reality is just what you said. If we can just embrace a new, it's not really a new rule as much as it's new communication. It's communication we should already be doing, but it's communication with a little more depth and straightforwardness. Yeah. Instead of an implication, we have to be really blatant with the communication.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I agree. I think the biggest thing that I thought that we were going to see a lot of agents actually get out of it like this year because of that. I do think with it being, 2024 was a weird market in general. And so I think 2025, we probably won't see quite as many agents as we've seen in years past since 2020.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, not quite 100%. It'll be something less.
Quite likely. Yes. Yeah. So, I mean, I think on the mortgage side of things too, you have us almost qualifying, like buyer's agent commission many times. It's almost like, okay, well, it's another aspect of the transaction that requires, or at least you have an advantage competitively if you have strong communication with all parties in that transaction while making an offer. Yeah. Because
you know what you can and can't do then.
100%. Yeah. And it's like, I don't know. It's just, you could go aggressively at the right houses when you need to.
Yeah.
But I guess, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Well, I mean, because it's also, you can look at it as an advantage from a contractual standpoint and an offer, right? So if I can leave off some of my buyer's agency and my buyers are willing to cover that and we can do a strong offer, well, that just made our offer more competitive than the offer that's the same amount for the house, but the buyer's agent is requesting more for their compensation because that's still more money out of the seller's pocket.
I feel like it's a huge part of our job. I think it's a massive advantage. I think that's a big thing that we offer to people, honestly, just as a company is being able to, I don't know, like
get creative.
It's not, nobody's, it's like, what can we come up with?
Yeah.
That would make sense, that the borrower's comfortable with, that would give our buyer or our seller the highest competitive advantage for whatever. And then you know the deal on your side. So we're like, hey, here's a bunch of information. Then you could, use it in different ways. But I mean, if you have that, buyers getting under contract.
Yeah.
If you don't, they take a little bit longer, probably.
Right.
Or whatever.
We assume that even though the reality might be that it takes 2 or 3 offers before your client gets an accepted one, we assume that every offer is intended to be a contract.
The one that's accepted.
Right. And so why go into that without all the tools and, any strategies that might enhance the offer, or why just be one of 10 offers?
Right. You're exactly right. And I mean, I agree that you guys do a great job with that. And that makes my job easier too, because then if I'm armed with all the information and what we can and cannot do on our end to write the offer and make it competitive and stand out, right? Because a lot of times you're going to have people that are submitting those offers for buyers with just the standard, inspections for informational purposes only. Okay, we're going to go 5K over asking. Boom, here you go. And it's like, okay, if everybody's submitting that offer, it's just getting creative with it.
Yeah, there are a lot of opportunities in there, and if you're spending your time showing people houses, and you assume if you're going to write one up that.
Yeah, I like to write one and done. That's usually my goal.
There's some
you definitely want the house, right?
We're writing an offer, right?
Well, I mean, like this house, we bought this the day after Christmas. That was intentional. It was deliberate, basically. Yeah. Like, I mean, if it's the day after Christmas, we're going to offer this. I mean, how could you not get a better deal the day after Christmas?
Right. Merry Christmas. Everybody.
I mean, seriously. Yeah. And then you sell it. If we didn't want to keep it, we would have sold it in the spring.
Right. I mean, it's just strategic.
That would have worked. Yeah. I think you buy something the first day of January. So if you are looking to buy something, I mean, think about it. This is a good time to buy.
Oh yeah. I always tell my clients November through January, usually the best time, but right around the holidays is definitely the best time because nobody's like trying to buy stuff right now. So you have an advantage in that standpoint.
Yeah.
Now inventory is a little bit less, but the inventory that's on the market, you have a better.
That is true. So
I've been a little surprised. I mean, we've been busy, I would say, this month, kind of unusually, maybe. You know, there are some refinances, but purchases are still
statistically. So November was really, I mean, I don't know about for you guys, but market wise, what we saw is November was very slow, primarily because of the election. So October, November, very slow because people were hesitant due to the election.
Oh, for sure.
And they say statistically the December after, an election, like after an election, is always busier than other Decembers. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, they're also saying, you know, I want to see what happens when Trump actually takes office now.
Yeah.
But, you know,
and you can always play the waiting game, right? I mean, there's always going to be something. And,
100%.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people, I don't know, there was a pocket of time where we would talk to people and say, hey, rates dropped about a point or two. You should consider doing this. And then all of a sudden I don't know, there was reason to believe, hey, it's just to take advantage of it, probably.
Yeah.
But then everybody, you know, you want it to go to a certain level, but when you're waiting for that time period,
it's a gamble.
The whole time you're paying higher
That's
cost.
what I don't.
Yeah, right.
You know, so
and you can always refinance again. Yeah. Like, I mean, that's the beauty of it.
You're not fast as the world works.
No. Yeah.
There's so much apprehension, like about a lot of things. Like I thought about your videos where it doesn't matter what you post because you're going to post another one the next time, and
it expires in 24 hours. I mean,
and so why are we waiting for some moment?
Right.
You know, because that moment will be gone in a second, whatever that will be.
Well, it's like the people that have been, you know, waiting around since 2020 for the housing crash to happen. And I mean, unfortunately, or fortunately, I should say, I think they're going to be waiting for quite a while.
Right. Exactly.
Supply and demand.
Now, do you do anything for Christmas? Like do you do, like what's annoying that you have to do at Christmas? Like, do you do holiday cards that you send out?
I don't. I should, but I don't.
You're so bad.
I'll wish everybody a Merry Christmas on my Instagram.
Nobody does them anymore.
So I feel really bad because I'll get some and then I'm like, thank you.
Right.
Don't expect one from me.
Right.
And I think it's because it's always funny. And this is no offense to people that do Christmas cards. I love receiving them. I think they're great.
Sounds like
but I just saw that picture on your Facebook 2 weeks ago.
Right.
Like, it's just a hard copy of it.
And now you just signed it.
Which I appreciate.
If I wanted your autograph.
They didn't actually sign it, though. It just comes straight from like Shutter Flyers.
Hey, just take Ashley off the list.
Yeah. No, I appreciate it.
I was going to.
I appreciate it.
Which part?
I tape it to like my one outside of my cabinet. Outside.
Inside of my cabinet.
Outside. It's on the outside.
Look, these are all the good families.
You made it to the outside.
Yeah, you made it to the outside. The inside is the resort. No, I'm kidding.
Speaking of which, I did want to ask a question.
How perfect these families are.
I thought about on the way here, speaking of Christmas traditions or whatever.
Can you see and everything over there?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay.
Put those big sunglasses on you.
They're in my car. I know, my cool sunglasses. I got the coolest big sunglasses.
She has really good ones.
Amazon, telling you they're the best.
What's the deal with these pop-up bars? Is that a thing now?
I haven't been to one. I want to go to one.
Supposed to go this week.
I lied. I went to the one at Brookdale in Eureka, which is tiny.
If you could just stick to the truth on the podcast, we'd appreciate it.
Yeah.
Okay, no lying.
So I'm sorry, I lied. I have been to one. Only the one in Brookdale.
What's that about?
It's just like it's festive, and they have like festive cocktails and
like who's serving?
People that work there.
Oh, well, I'm going to a barn, like a barn.
Are you going to the one in Brookdale?
No, the one at the end of my street. There's a barn. Oh. Not this street, but a different street.
Is it a commercial pop-up, or is this just someone telling you to come into their barn? They have
I'm asking the questions around here.
Well, Jared Bertrand has that On the Rocks food truck, but it's a bar.
Yeah.
You talking about like that type of thing?
Well, they do like these holiday pop-up bars. There's quite a few down towards the city, and there's a big one in St. Charles, and they go up like usually November through the end of December, and you have to make reservations, and you have like an hour or two in there, and they just keep filtering people.
Are you paying for it?
I don't think you have to pay. I think you have to pay for the drinks when you're there, but I don't think you have to pay for the reservation. I don't know. Again, at Brookdale, you had to pay $5 for the ticket, and then you can stay the whole night.
And then you're buying each drink or whatever.
Yeah, and I mean the drinks are a little upcharged, but you're doing it in festive.
No, just trying to know what I'm getting into.
Well, so did you hear about that jingle stuff out in St. Charles? So they have.
Yes.
So we got tickets. They have pop-up bars there, but you have to like buy tickets to go to the whole thing. And so we were going to do that, and we bought tickets, and then we didn't end up going after all the drama.
There were some problems.
Yeah.
There were some problems out there. Yeah. I thought about, as I was driving here, speaking of all that stuff, but it's not really convenient for you, but what would have been a cool place to do this would have been, Chris lives basically on Candy Cane Lane in the city.
I went there last year in a party bus.
Did you really?
Yeah. That was my pop-up bar.
You definitely drove by my house.
Yeah. And so sometimes my kids were asking last night, can we go down to Uncle Chris's house? And
that'd be a good night.
Go down there. So
should have came by.
That would be fun.
We'll figure that out.
Yeah.
It's a cool little event down there.
I mean, I guess it's growing almost.
It's getting
it's possible.
The traffic is extreme.
I'm sure you're getting people like from outside of St. Louis coming to it. I mean, it's getting, because so many people, again, going back to the social media, post videos of it, and it gets it garners national attention. So.
Yeah. Well, those houses, I mean, you got to keep stepping it up every year.
Yeah,
I just can imagine the electric bill. That's all I'm thinking.
Your neighbors, they're like, Chris, is this all you got this year?
For sure. Yeah. For sure.
Are you like the lamest one on the street?
I mean, it's, what the
I just asked. He made it sound that way.
Chris is so into stuff.
These reindeer and elevated to look like they're taking off.
Okay,
I mean, only a few feet, but still, pretty good.
Because they're getting ready.
Right.
Speaking of lame.
Segue.
Make your decision. I'm sure you guys will stop by. But if you are going to do it, it's better to just park and then walk through because it's
that's
better.
what we usually do. Yeah, or get there early.
Right. Before it's dark.
Then you get the full.
Can you turn your lights up? Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, holiday. Do you go to like stores and shopping or anything like that?
No, all online. Too many people.
Right.
I try, although sometimes I wait too long and then I forget about, certain things that I have to get and then I have to run out and it's a nightmare, but
I used to be a good shopper. I feel like, for presents, I have no ability to buy presents anymore. Completely lost.
Well, I think it's also because everybody has access to anything they want all the time now. So it's not like you have, when people ask me, what do I want for Christmas? I'm like, I don't know. If I want something, I just buy it when I want it. So I'm like, I don't know. Money.
Well, buy
yourself a house for me.
$300,000 loan.
Yes, please. Thank you. Not a loan. Just give it to me.
Today I got to make a confession. Well, I have to make a confession now about today.
Advent.
Thanks. This is as we embark on the third week of Advent. So we're doing this podcast today from our kind of farmhouse in Wildwood, and I panicked this morning, and I was like, I recalled how poor of a gift giver and such I am, and so I realized I really have nothing to offer here at this house other than accommodation. What do you think of crab cakes?
They're the least sweet of all cakes.
That's actually a fact.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're deceiving, I guess.
That's poorly named. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I think okay. So I had something was happening with this, and it appears to be working.
Well,
so you were telling us about your grandma, though.
Yeah, you got bored, so
no,
just enough of that.
It's tough to carry out.
We don't have any grandmas alive, so we're gonna use yours, Mike's section.
Mike's, vicariously through Mike. No, I was just saying she still does it on her own. She had a farmhouse out here in Wildwood that I actually sold for her earlier this year. She was still on 3 acres, and she was still mowing it and all that by herself. But decided to get into a villa. But she's still doing it all on her own.
That's crazy.
Goals.
How old is she?
92.
What do you mean? How is she doing that?
I mean, she has kids. They help her, but she's living on her own and hosts and does all
that's
that.
Awesome.
I know.
I'm not
that 92 and I don't have any desire to host anybody.
What's the
let alone
that's
30
a
of
lot
us.
of work.
is there a special like daily
Tradition?
food item?
I don't know.
Or is it more just typical stuff?
Typical American fare.
She cooks the everything.
Most of it, yeah. I mean,
know,
sometimes people will like bring some dishes, but yeah, for the most part.
Yeah, that's how a lot of
incredible.
grandmas are until
Yeah.
till they can't. But that's commendable.
Yeah.
So she's a good cook, I take it.
Yes. Very good.
And and she's no longer in Wildwood, or?
No, she's in a villa over in the Chesterfield area now.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Nice.
But don't have to travel too far.
No.
What do you guys do for Christmas?
We'll go to my parents' house.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're in Oakville, or we'll come here. But we'll probably go there. We come here for Thanksgiving. We'll go there, and then.
Do you do Christmas Eve there, or do you Christmas Day?
Christmas Day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I go to my mother-in-law's Christmas Eve, usually to church, and then, stay up later than you need to get presents wrapped and all that stuff.
What do you mean? Santa does that?
Well, this is I buy a lot of things for, just friends and stuff.
Giving good gifts.
I don't have that ability. So I don't know what I'm wrapping, essentially. My kids always say, Dad, are you as surprised as we are today?
Yeah. And the answer is always yes.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, we are coming up on New Year's. What's your prediction? If you want to talk,
This is gonna be a crazy year, huh?
it could be anything. It could be real estate related. Yeah, I mean, however you want to spin it, but
For 2025?
yeah.
Well, I think the aliens are invading. No, I'm kidding.
Oh God, careful.
So what? I don't even know anything about that necessarily
drones.
right now. What's up with that? Anything?
No one knows what's up. And I'm just kidding. I don't think
I guess there's some
think it's
encouragement to shoot them down.
Yeah, they said like they were sending out some New York like drone thing, but I don't know. I think that's
It's
entertainment. It's not the aliens, and if so,
no, it's not
maybe
the
they'll be
alien.
nice.
It's gonna be Big Brother stuff, though.
Yeah, I think it's the SpaceX program or whatever, and I think they're testing stuff, and they're not talking with the government, so they don't know. That's my
That
take.
could be.
Anyways, real estate wise, I think it's going to be a busier market than 2024. Definitely. I think we're going to slowly see a decline in rates. You guys would know better than I. But I think it's going to be pretty like steady, slow decrease. I don't think we're going to see anything in the 4s. I think it's going to be like 5.5. So it's going to be the lowest probably we see, in my opinion, based off what I've heard. I think a lot of people who have been waiting on the sidelines through 2024 are going to start coming out more. So therefore we're going to see maybe a market similar to 2022, even with the rates being higher than they were back then, just because there's such a backlog of buyers and the inventory problem is still a problem. There's still not enough houses for as many people as we have wanting to buy houses. So I think it's going to be kind of a hectic year, in my opinion.
I'm not an economist, and I'm really not even good at economics, whatever that means. But if let's just say there's at least a possibility that interest rates don't go down, and the stock market goes up, and maybe wages go up. I wonder what has a bigger impact on a buyer going into the market or a seller going into the market? A lower rate?
No, I think it's other circumstances. And the thing is even if the rates don't go down a lot, in my opinion, from what I've seen with buyers, is because they've been waiting so long. And especially if the market goes up and we see the economy kind of do better, there'll be more confidence in it. And so therefore they've been waiting on the sidelines. They've got to, take the plunge at some point. Even if the rates don't go down, eventually people are going to start to see like, this is the new normal. This is what rates are. I have to buy a house. I've been waiting. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the stability aspect of it, the less volatility, the more inclined people are to make decisions. And if they're optimistic about the economy, or if they just simply are under the impression that they're not going to go any big swings either direction, and then it may be inclined to buy. But in reality, the best time to buy is when you're ready.
Yesterday.
When you find a house you like.
It really is.
Well, yeah.
because you could make such strong arguments in any direction because it is real estate.
Yeah.
So it could be, rates are going to drop. Well, the argument is then, you can refinance when the rates drop, and then you bought at a better time anyways, because now when the rates drop, the prices
you already have
might go
equity
up.
in it too. Yeah,
and you already have equity. The price go up. So many different ways to say it.
Exactly.
And but if somebody wants to, I guess that's it. You either buy now or you buy later. Those are the two examples. And when it's real estate, it tends to appreciate over the long term. Not that it couldn't depreciate at certain times.
Yeah, there's always that chance. But again, I think then you have to look at the inventory and supply and demand. I mean, based off what I've seen forecasts have, the inventory shortage is here. Like there's no way around it. And so therefore supply and demand, prices are just going to continue to rise on the houses, even if the interest rates don't go down.
Oh, well, and the number of defaults, there's no defaults, and very, 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 very few defaults.
I saw a statistic today saying 1.8% of people.
Small.
Very small,
right.
very small.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's the other thing is after 2020, 2021, people were like, oh, okay, you're going to see a lot of people default, and it didn't happen, which is that's a good thing. So I agree with you. I think best time to buy was always yesterday, right? But if you can't buy yesterday, buy today.
With respect to the inventory, do you see any builders?
Builders are still building, but it's not fast enough.
Yeah,
and there's not enough.
I've seen a lot of apartments being built.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of rentals going up too, but that's the other thing. And I think that's where you're going to see people start to push their way into the buying market too, is because rent's going up so much, which you can't blame people for raising rent too. But I
have seen a lot of investment purchases lately. That's more so than usual for me.
Now, could you tell us maybe like how a typical transaction would go? Like if somebody wanted to buy a house, what does that look like? Or if somebody wanted to sell their house, just what's a quick synopsis, or however long you need to take, but just how would that work with you typically?
Yeah. So the biggest thing is, one, reach out to me. And then on the buy side, first thing is I'm always going to put them in touch with you guys, a lender, because we need to know how much they're going to be able to be pre-approved for. You never want to start looking for houses until you know what you're pre-approved for, what you can afford, because there's no point in looking at something out of your price range and getting your hopes up and then realizing you can't do it. So pre-approval is always number one, making sure everything's lined up for the purchase of the home. And then we can set up a search. So I go through them with everything they're looking for, their must-haves, their deal breakers, things like that. Set them up on an MLS search while also tapping into like my network of agents within my brokerage and just outside of the MLS to find if there's any off-market deals, which is always a great way to go if you can. And then going to look at houses, writing the offer on the right one, hopefully getting that one accepted, not the 3 to 4 rule. Number one, first offer.
What is the average amount of houses you would maybe show somebody before they get under contract?
How many I would show, or how many offers?
How many, what's the average that,
average number of houses I show is typically 2 to 3 before we're writing an offer. Usually I'm very,
get it narrowed down.
Yeah, have it narrowed down, and I have a pretty good idea of what they're looking for, and just want to be very cognizant of, okay, here's like, this is checking those boxes, so let's go take a look at this. So I'd say looking at 2 to 3 before we write an offer, and then right now, 2024, I'd say first offer is usually maybe 2 offers, but getting it accepted on the first or second offer. And then, once you have an accepted contract, you go through inspections, make sure financing is all good, all the standard contingencies there. And then, usually within 30 days, give or take, you're in your new home. And 30 days from contract.
Well, and a lot of people don't know where to start, maybe because, and they also they think that maybe they have to sell before they buy. And
that's why it's important.
We can always work that out.
Exactly. No, I agree. And I think that's a big thing, because a lot of people are scared to enter the market to buy a home because they're like, we have to sell before we buy. How are we going to do that? Or because they hear like you can't do home sale contingencies right now because it's a volatile market. And there's always I mean, I don't want to say always, but there's a good chance there's a workaround. And you guys can get creative on, you know, how to make it where we can still write an offer potentially without a home sale contingency, get it accepted, and then they don't have to sell their house first.
Right.
And I think you're exactly right. A lot of people are unaware that there's options out there. And so that's why I think it's always important to talk to an agent and a lender and get as much information as you can on the front end to see what is or isn't possible. And same for home sellers looking to sell. Again, talk to an agent, see what you might need to be done to your house to get you the biggest ROI. Or, you know, if you good to list. So
don't paint the walls like bright blue or something before.
I mean, you
considering running it by somebody.
Yeah. Just, I mean,
get a second opinion.
Get a second opinion.
I continue to be amazed that, you know, we do a lot of these transactions, and you gave a typical scenario. I continue to be amazed by what looks perfect, like a perfect transaction, always there's a wrinkle. And I only say that because of the value of agents. I mean, like there is rarely a cookie cutter scenario that you could just plug and play. You know, you're always going to deal with, you know, a setback line is different than you thought. Well, the roof looked perfect and now I need a new one.
That's a big one. I'm sure you guys are encountering that right now. I mean, we're seeing basically, so what used to be on the contract is, you know, you submit the contract, you have 10 days from getting under contract to having, you know, I'm going to be able to get homeowners insurance on this. That's being held up now because insurance companies are now actually sending out like assessors to look at the roof specifically, especially out in this area because of hailstorms. And we're seeing if the roof isn't 5 years or newer, they're saying we're not going to insure it. And obviously, if you're getting a loan, typically you need to have full homeowners coverage on it. So that's holding up a lot of deals where sellers are having, even though it might be, you know, I'm going to sell it for as is, unless it's a cash deal, you're going to have to get a new roof.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
You know, insurability has been probably an overlooked provision in the contract for a long time.
Yeah, people didn't even people are like, yeah, just whatever.
Well, I know.
Days.
All I'm looking for is a cheap premium or whatever. And as it turns out, it's not. And then the buyer's like, what? I never make a claim. Well, it doesn't have to do with you. It can follow the property, and that is a challenge. So it's just something to be mindful of. You don't. Sometimes a lot of clients that's kind of that's one of the last things they deal with, you know, their insurance.
Oh, yeah. And when I see a lot that are like, I'm just going to use the guy that I've been using on my current house, and it's like completely different.
You're the same guy, but this is a different house. So let's see what it looks like.
Yeah. And I think the biggest thing there is also, I mean, I tell my clients, you know, don't be afraid to shop it out a little bit, especially with these roofs. I mean, the deductibles on these things, you're more apt to just buy your own roof, and roofs aren't cheap.
No, that's a great point.
Insurance in general is in a tough spot right now. I mean, health insurance for a self-employed person is
it's painful.
It's like you'll research things for days on end, and then once you think you have something figured out, it's like, wait, basically, that's not going to work at all, is it?
No, because you think you're like, okay, this sounds like the best option. And it's like, oh, well, except it's not going to cover anything.
Except you still have to pay for $4,500 a month.
Yeah.
And you're like, what? Hold on.
$50,000.
What am I paying for? Right. Yeah. Insurance is tough.
Rough.
Oh, it is. Well, and they're talking. I mean, I was talking to my preferred homeowners insurance guy, and he was telling me that there's been talks about like them trying to get some, like the government coming in for insurance
relief, because the prices are too high.
Yeah, but
I'm sure that'll be just great too. I mean, gosh, think about it.
No control.
But I mean, these poor insurance people just can't make a buck.
No.
Yeah, that's true. It's a real challenge right now.
No, but I mean, like the actual
making
companies.
plenty
The companies are making. I'm talking about like the sales.
I know, but think about it. Like that, it's like darn these poor people. They have to pay out all this money. I mean,
they've been collecting it forever.
I mean, that's what I mean. Because because in California they're not insuring any kind of fire damage. Down in Louisiana, where my mom lives, you can't even get like hurricane coverage, flood coverage. Up here, there's talks that they're not going to do roofs anymore because of the hailstorms within the next 5 years. I won't be surprised if we see that.
Wow.
But again, if you have a plan with like a 2% deductible on a new roof and it goes by the 2% of what your home is worth now, not when you bought it. I mean, if your home is,
that's a big number for a lot of these homes. Appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah. If you have a 600,000, I mean, don't make me do math, but it's a lot of money
right now. So
okay, well, hold on, let me get my calculator.
You're going through everything, the insurance and the roof.
You're dealing with it right now.
Just as like to be well informed in the industry.
Yeah.
I'm like, I might as well. No, I mean,
just for shit
it's what it's done.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a roofing situation. It's been great refresher course for sure. And, I don't know. We'll see how it all works out, but
yeah. Good luck.
It's almost like the same thing. It's almost like hiring a real estate agent. It's like, I could get it covered, because there's a very strong case for it. It should be covered. It's going to take leg work. So I could do all this and research it. And insurance, you pretty much at this point, I don't know, you have to do a lot of that depending on, on your own. But in real estate, where there's even more at stake, I mean, you could quit your job and research. Like, I believe in people. People could do a lot. Just depends on what else you have to do, or and
I mean, time is
you're gonna
money.
get this good deal. Do you? I mean, so a lot of it is experience where you don't even know. Like, could you luck out, go smooth as possible? I mean, you haven't seen it in a while, but it could happen. It could happen. Could you work through it? Yeah. I mean, could you potentially get the same amount of money?
No.
Maybe. I mean, what don't you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, it's a game. You got to know what you're doing because there's multiple offers on properties.
Well, exactly. And I mean, a lot, even just like the way you asked me, just taking it from start to finish on a deal. That was a very generalized description, like you said, Pete. And yeah, typically 9 times out of 10, there's going to be something that goes wrong. And if you're just trying to do it on your own, or if you're dealing with an inexperienced agent, that can make a factor, and you could leave thousands on the table or lose, tens of thousands. So it's just really,
there are a lot of agents, there are a lot of lenders, there are a lot of lawyers, and you just kind of, you trust it, but you should know pretty quickly if there's a level of discomfort that maybe your expectations are not being met.
Exactly.
And
don't be afraid to ask questions. I think that's one thing I always encourage clients I meet with, whether it's a buyer's consultation or a listing consultation. Don't ask me any question you want, because I want to be able to answer any questions you might have. But also, don't be afraid to interview. I always tell my people, interview other agents, please. I want you to be comfortable going with me. But I think it's good to educate yourself, so then you're picking the best agent or lender or lawyer for you to feel comfortable with. It's a big transaction. Usually it's one of the biggest transactions someone's going to make in their life. So
right.
It is. Even shopping is a lot of work. It's like, somebody please just tell me who to work with, who's amazing. Because I mean, what do I want to do? I gotta talk to 5 different people, and
I'd rather shop for a babysitter. I don't want to shop for a professional.
That's the thing. If you pick one good one, then you can usually tap into their network.
Correct.
So that's where
that's true.
I mean, that's how I kind of look at it, and that's something I feel like is something I have to offer.
That's exactly
clients that
right.
go with me is like, hey, I have this great lender partner I work with. I have inspectors. I have insurance. Like, I can give you names of reputable, trustworthy people, and there's nothing in it for me except knowing that this is going to make your deal go smoothly. And,
that's what they want to. That's what people really want.
Yeah.
What else can you do for me?
Right. It's more than just like, oh, I can show you a couple houses. It's a lot more that goes into it.
For sure.
It's not like HGTV makes it look.
I think that was well said and is extremely relevant. I mean, the network, the power of a strong network. I mean, if you have a plumber, an electrician, and everybody can deliver and everybody has good prices, everybody does good work, everybody makes a reasonable profit, and professionals. I mean, how much does that help? I mean, you put a furnace in, it's $20,000, or it's $8,000.
Right.
It's like, well, or you could research it all day, figure out the best possible person,
Right.
It's like, that's what your big part of what you're buying. Because in real estate, you make money. Real estate agents and people in the industry don't like to sell clients' houses that they think they're going to have trouble selling later. Mm-hmm. So they're always going to try and put you in a good spot.
Oh, it's very true. Yeah. It's not only that, but it's also like, I never want to, if I ever have a hesitation on a house that I'm like, okay, this might be an issue for you. I'm upfront about it. I explain why I think that. And then it's like, then you just, as long as clients are making an educated decision, that's all I can do.
Yeah. It doesn't do you any good to lead them down a path that's ultimately not a good one.
Right. Exactly. Whether that be selling it down the road or if you can see where there's clearly going to be issues. Yeah. Something of the sort.
Yeah. Earning trust is important. I was thinking of this as I drove out here today, thinking about, there's a good and a bad. The fact that we don't start work in one place at 8:00 in the morning and get home at 5:30. Right. Like there are a lot of industries like that right now.
Yeah.
That's what, with that being said, we have flexibility, but we also have accountability at times that maybe we don't want to, but that's a compromise that I think we're all willing to, exchange.
Yeah.
Because there is some value to having a flexible lifestyle, but I like being depended upon too.
Yeah.
I like that people can text me or call me on Saturday night or something like that, and they know they'll at least get a reasonable response. Maybe it's not everything, but they're going to get, hey, I hear you, I see you, I'm going to get back to you.
Literally, and that's a huge thing for me when it comes to partners that I work with in this industry, because me, I pick up the phone and I call. Like I'm a talker, and so
that's what I do.
Yeah, it's because you can get an answer like that rather than 10 emails or 10 text messages. It's like, I just want to know.
And the tone goes a long way.
But technology also, tone can be very misconstrued.
I can get off with you in 30 seconds too.
Right. It's just, I just need an answer. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And that's what, I like partners that I can work with that, okay, I'm just going to call you really quick. I know it's a Saturday night. I'm sorry to bother you. But I need this answer, or at least know it's being looked into. Because sometimes
definitely maybe.
Yeah.
Definitely maybe that should work.
Yeah.
Potentially.
Hey, that sounds good. Okay, I can deal with it. Yeah, but at least 100%. at least I know it was like seen or heard, because sometimes you work with, like, if I have clients sometimes that bring, those big box lenders or whatever it might be, and you have to send an email to a customer service email address and you'll get an answer within 3 to 4 days. And in real estate, a lot of this stuff is time sensitive. You can't wait 3 to 4 business days.
Yeah. I sent a message to somebody last night, and it's unrelated to real estate, but it was a work thing, and I've been waiting for 30 days for an answer, and so I said, hey, I'm just still waiting, so just circling back with you.
Circle back.
And he goes, okay, I'll follow up during business hours. And I was like, oh, okay. So there
wasn't enough business hours in the 30 days.
We had 28 days, 24 business days before now. But every situation is different. I was just like, okay, really appreciate you.
Well, I think we're also used to this field where it's like there is no such thing as business hours.
Right. So right. Yeah.
Yeah. How do I do the math?
Like? Yeah.
Nick, a good friend of mine, Nick, would be like one person, when you're younger, it would be like, oh yeah, I'll meet you at this place, or I'll meet you there. Uh-huh. And then, maybe it doesn't work out where you don't make it there or something. Yeah. And then he'd call back a couple of days later, like, hey man, I'm still sitting here. It's like that. It's like, hey,
that's so good.
But now the apartment complexes or the condo complexes, they'll say, it's $200 if you want it back in a week. It's $500 if you want it back in 3 days.
The HOAs.
Yeah.
Oh, it's ridiculous. I just sold a villa. I closed on it a couple weeks ago, and I was a listing agent. I had to deal with the HOA resale certificate, and the amount that they charge you just for the 3 week standard 3 week period just to get some documents is and if you want it rushed, forget about it.
Oh, they got that figured out.
Day by day, it increases by like $200.
Yeah.
So depending on the deal, it either matters or it doesn't.
You're like,
so
we actually
something.
don't want a quick close, please.
But we're also encouraged, right? So no matter, like, you're going to actually get it back to me in 2 days. It's also like, amazing that they'll even
they can do
commit
it
to that. Yeah,
for the right
happen,
amount of money.
It doesn't really.
No.
It doesn't even happen.
No, it doesn't. They're like, well,
You're like,
sorry.
I just paid you an extra $300,
And you don't get that money back either.
No, they're just like, I know, but it's.
I think I'm
do
gonna.
it. Okay, so wow, yeah. Well, Ashley Dailey, I appreciate you for coming out here.
Yes, thank you for having me.
It's always good catching up with you. So hopefully we can do this again. Like we said, we were going to do it every couple months, and we did. So we should do it again here soon.
Consistency.
Yeah. Have a great Christmas. Have a great New Year's, and then Pete, anything else? Want to wrap us up with?
Yeah, Ashley, thanks for coming. Give us your phone number, email, whatever you're willing to expose. I know you're already out there, but
hey, I was going to say you can just find me on social media.
That's it. That's
at ash.daily. That'll work. My phone number and everything's on there. So
excellent. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.